That's horrible.
Do you want to hear a random stand-up comedy fact?
Yeah, of course.
I learned this because the great Bob Newhart just passed away. One of my idols.
Oh, yeah. How long ago was that last year? Late last year?
Yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
just yesterday.
Right. Yeah,
Big
that's
life,
right.
though. 94, 2 huge monumental TV shows. But here's something crazy. Because you guys have done stand-up. You continue to do comedy. You go to open mics. And you know the whole scene, the whole weird culture and the ups and downs, mostly downs with comedy, right? It's not easy. Get this. This guy had one of the top stand-up comedy albums of all time.
Yeah.
When he recorded it, the night he recorded it, he had never done stand-up in a nightclub before.
Really?
Jeez.
He recorded the album at the it's like the Tides, Houston Tides nightclub in the, I believe, the late 50s. And he had never regularly done stand-up in a club. That album, that night, that recording on Warner Brothers went on to be one of the biggest stand-up comedy albums still to this
Oh,
day.
wow.
Probably still in the top 10 of all time. Isn't that crazy?
What
He had
what
done a
year
little
was that?
theater. He'd done some stand-up, maybe twice. Never done it in a nightclub regularly.
It was just, I'll tape my set, and then
Yeah.
it just gets huge.
In fact, Warner Brothers had to call around the country for a club to take some guy that had never done. They go, we got it. He's in Chicago. They go, we got it. This place in Houston will take you.
Really?
Comes down there, records it, becomes one of the biggest albums ever.
Wait, what year was that?
I think 56.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, and went on to huge. I think I won a Grammy, and then at one time his two albums were 1 and 2 on the album charts. He made a follow-up to it. But the album that he recorded for the first time ever was The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart. It's great.
Oh.
And what made it famous was he did these one-sided telephone calls where he could be like, "What's that, Abe?" Like he's talking to Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
And then a guy named Shelley Berman, the stand-up comedian at the time too, was angry because he said he stole his whole act. But actually, Shelley Berman stole the concept from vaudevillians too. But everyone was always like, "Oh yeah, you stole that from Shelley Berman." He's like, "No,
Yeah.
George Gobel, all these other guys did it." But isn't that crazy?
That is very crazy. And the thing that I remember most about Bob Newhart, right?
Yeah.
Is was it the Bob Newhart Show?
Yeah.
Or was it Newhart? The one from the 88
Newhart
to
was
like,
80s, yeah.
And I thought one of the coolest things they did,
Yeah.
and this was very, I guess you could say that Hill Street Blues was it Hill Street Blues? No, it was, what was that doctoring
Dallas.
show back in
Oh,
the 80s?
Oh,
St. Elsewhere.
You're right, St. Elsewhere. I know
They
what you're
did
gonna
that thing
say,
with
yeah.
the globe, right?
Yeah.
At the end. So, Alan, have you ever heard of St. Elsewhere?
No.
It's this hospital drama, the original ER, right?
I think it made Howie Mandel a star.
Yeah, Howie Mandel, Mandy Patinkin. No, maybe that was someone else. That was a different drama show. But anyway, St. Elsewhere, Ed Begley Jr.
Good mind. That's right.
I like that guy. And at the very end of the series, it turned out to be an autistic child's
Fantasy.
snow globe.
That's right. Oh, look, he
inside.
pulled it up. Look at the clip.
Oh, yeah.
Is this
It
St.
was-
Elsewhere? Oh, here it is, the snow globe ending. I've never seen it.
See here.
Remember I told you that? I don't understand this autism thing, Pop. Here's my son. I talked to him. I don't
Ricky
even know if he
Schroeder.
can hear
No.
me.
So everything in the show happens in the snow globe?
In the snow globe, yeah, it like shows that that's a little hospital in the snow globe.
What's he thinking about?
Which explains the giant seahorse attacks. Because
It's a bold move. That's a ballsy move.
that was very artistic. In the 1980s, trying to pull off an artistic move, right? I mean, come on.
It was all in this snow globe.
Yeah, so...
John's boat trip happened all. See the gas?
Oh,
in
look,
this,
see.
there's a little boat.
Guys
See all the
driving
gas? In this, see the dog? Snow globe.
Oh, there's a hospital. And so the Bob Newhart Show, is that the one?
Newhart was the one that you're going to tell
Okay.
a story about, yeah.
You could probably give a better description of that.
No,
than
you're
I-
on the right track.
We're at the very end of the series, the Bob Newhart Show. He wakes up, and he's in bed next to the wife from the previous series.
right.
And the
Previous
entire fucking series that we just watched was all a dream in his head.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a cop-out in writing a lot of times, but at the time that they did it, that was pretty fucking revolutionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Like,
was
whoa.
satirizing Dallas with
Yeah.
JR got shot right, And then isn't that what it was?
I don't
then
remember the
J-
specifics
JR
on that, but
Or Bobby or someone's in the shower and they go, "It was all a dream."
so it was kind of like a play on something
They were
else. at the time.
satirizing that
That's
because everyone
fucking
was
cool,
angry
man.
about the Dallas thing. Kind of, they were like, "What?"
It was like when Magnum PI got shot that last season, and Tom Selleck, he didn't want to. Tom Selleck, he wanted more money, I think is what it was, and so they're like, okay, we'll give you the money, and they're like, okay, I guess he's not dead, because they had made it to look like Magnum PI had died because he got shot, and then they're like, no, he made a full recovery, he's awesome.